We're finally ready for multiplying a fraction by a mixed number. Now again, I'm going to really encourage you to, instead of reading this as 1/4 times 1 1/3, to instead read it as this, 1/4 of 1 1/3. So I'm going to try to find a smaller part, because this is less than 1. I'm going to try and find this part of this amount. Okay, so I have a model of 1 1/3. Here is 1 whole. Let's grab a skinnier pencil, Mrs. Toivola. Here's 1 whole, and here's 1/3. I need to find a fourth of all of this. Not just a fourth of the third, and not a fourth of 1. I need to find a fourth of all of it together. So if I'm looking for 1/4, I need this picture to show 4 equal parts. Right now I see one giant part and another little part. So I can make this be fourths by, again, forgetting about this extra part here, because this part doesn't really matter. I'm not finding a fourth of the part that's not colored in. I'm finding a fourth of the part that is colored in. So I can make this first square look like that second square by dividing it into thirds as well. I'll do the best I can. It's a little tricky to do it on demand. Try one more time. Here's one line. Here's one line. Not bad, all right? So there's thirds. Thirds in this square, 1, 2, 3, but I want you to notice there's actually 4 parts. There's 3 in the first square, and then there's that extra part. So if I want a fourth of all of this together, then I'm just putting an X here. All right, I'm going to put the numbers inside now so you can see it. That is 1 out of 2, 3, 4. This is 1/4. All right, so I'm going to then color it in. There it is. This is what 1/4 of 1 1/3 looks like. So what would we call this piece right there? In terms of a whole, here's my whole. In terms of a whole, that piece is 1 out of 3. So the answer should be 1/3. 1/3 is a fourth of 1 1/3. It's kind of tricky to think about, all right, but it also makes sense. Unfortunately, not every picture of a times by a mixed number works this way, all right? I handpicked this one so it looked a little bit better and the parts don't look so crazy, all right? But 1/3 is a fourth of 1 1/3 because, again, we had 4 parts. 1 is the red one, 2, 3, 4. We had 4 parts, and then I just counted one of them. That was the red X, and we would call that 1 up in front. We would call that one a third of a whole. Okay, so if I wanted to do this without a picture, what would I need to do? Well, the first thing I'd need to do is think about 1 1/3 in terms of being a fraction instead of a mixed number. So here's 1 1/3. I'm going to think about it as a fraction. So we had a square and another square. This one was cut into 3, and I had colored in 1. And then I'd colored in all of this. This again is 1 1/3. 1 1/3. All right. So if I wanted this to be a fraction instead of a mixed number, again, I would cut each one so that way they are equal in size to the best of my ability. And now I'm going to count the parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 1 1/3, or I could call this 4/3. Now, instead of writing this as 1/3, Just kidding. 1/4 of 1 1/3. I can write this as 1/4 of 4/3. So if I keep going, comparing them, this would be 1/4 times 1 1/3. And this would be 1/4 times 4/3. We've done a few examples, like this one here on the right. I'm going to quickly do that. I see that there's a 4 on the bottom and a 4 on the top. A 4 is a denominator and a 4 is a numerator. I could rewrite those as 4 times 1 and 4 times 1. And then I'll keep the other ones the same. There's a 1 on the top and there's a 3 on the bottom. If I now get rid of my 4/4, because that's a whole, I don't need to multiply by 1, my answer doesn't change. I can also get rid, there's a 1 on the top, there's a 1 on the bottom. Hey, take a look at what's left. It's not a trick. There's a 1, here's a 3. My answer is 1/3, which is what we said it should be. I'm going to slowly go back up. Here we go. There it is. There's our 1/3. Here's our 1/3. It works. Where kids get really stuck is when they don't think of 1 1/3 as a fraction. So they rewrite it kind of like this. 1/4 times 1/3. And then they take this 1 and they just put it kind of out in front. Then they multiply across and they see that 1 times 1 is 1, 4 times 3 is 12, and then they bring down this 1 and put it in front. I want you to notice how different these answers are. On the left, I have the answer 1 1/12, and on the right, I have the answer 1/3. So 1 1/12 is much larger than a third. It's more than a whole, and a third is closer to nothing than it is to a whole. So this answer of 1 1/12 also doesn't make sense. I'm going to just one more time scroll up. If I was looking at 1 1/12, that would be the same. I'll very quickly get rid of these. I'll color it back in so we can see our 1 1/3. If I'm finding a fourth of 1 1/3, that would be like saying, if the answer is 1 1/12, it would be cutting this, right? 1 1/12 is all of this, here, 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 that's a whole, plus this part here. You can see that that's more than half. It's almost all of what we've colored in, and it's only supposed to be a fourth. If I had this much and this much 4 times, oh man, we're really going to test it now. See if Mrs. Toivola can do it. Actually, let's undo just something, a little bit. All right, if I took this picture and did this 4 times, I'm going to zoom way down now. I know we're a little bit all over the place. Paste. See if I can zoom it down just a little so we can get it together. Copy. Paste. 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 All right. So if I did this 4 times, I would now have 1, 2, 3, 4 wholes plus 1, 2, 3, 4/12. So that would be 4 4/12, or 4 1/3. Okay, so 1 1/12 is 1/4 of 4 1/3, because if I draw 4 of these, I get this. And I know I need 4 because it's 1/4. So 1 1/12 can't be a fourth of 4 1/3. This is why it's really, really, really helpful to take 1 1/3 and make it be a fraction. In fact, that's what we did up above. You can see the 4/3 right up on top. There were 4 colored in, and it took 3. 1, 2, 3. There are 4 colored in, and it took 3. So 4/3 is 1 1/3. But let's use the fraction version so it's not so crazy.